It's a long time I haven't made a video and it feels strange to do one again. But I read such an amazing book about how to deal with negative emotions. And when you know that you read a really, really good book, when before and after you're not the same person anymore. So the book is called Letting Go, The Path to Surrender. It's from David Hawkins. And what it teaches, what it talks about, is how to deal with negative emotions and basically how to get rid of them. And for me, it was just like, it has blown my mind because since years, I've tried to deal with the emotions that happen in my body, and I haven't found a lot of tools that just worked. And when you think about it, emotions, they're just like the most important thing ever, because they are just like the limits of your world with your beliefs, because all the stuff that you fear is kind of the limit. It's kind of like everywhere you don't go. And because you're a being who tries to survive, and therefore everything that kind of threatens your survival, you just don't go there. And so what your mind tends to do and to think is that like what you're scared of is actual things in physical reality. But what you're actually scared of is not really that, but it comes from a belief. And so the thing that you think you're scared of, it's just something that's triggering a fear that you have inside because of the belief that you have. And so basically what the technique is, and it's just so fucking simple. It's so straightforward, direct, and simple. It's like when you feel a negative emotion, instead of focusing on the thoughts, you focus on the feeling. And what you do is you observe the feeling. Most of the time for me, the feeling is just at the level of the belly, the stomach, it's everywhere around here. So you observe your body, you feel into it. You don't try to change the feeling, you don't resist it, which is what we have been taught to do in society, is to repress, suppress negative emotions. What you do is the exact opposite. You let it be there as if it would just be fine if it was there. You give it the space that it needs to just like expand. And so what happens when you do that and you have a fear, and what you tend to do normally is to suppress it, then the fear grows and you feel it in your whole body. And that's what happens with intense emotions. And it feels very, very, very uncomfortable, and you're not used to it because you've been suppressing it your whole fucking life. And so what you do is you let it just be there, you wait, and you look at it. And it feels terrible. And what you try to do, what you will automatically try to do, is to escape it through doing certain things, through like thinking about other stuff. But you stay there and you look at the emotion. And what you'll see, if you do it like the right way, which is basically, it's just so simple. It's just you don't escape it, you stay there. And it is that the emotion just goes away. And then you feel just like normal again. So I did that while I was traveling, and I was in London for a week. And it's funny because there, like, I knew that I really looked forward to traveling for 1 week, and I love London. I've been there like 6 years ago, and I was so pumped to go there. But at the same time, I knew, man, I'm in a period in my life where I have a hard time opening myself up to other people, because I feel like my opinions about reality and who I am right now, I just don't, I'm afraid what people are going to think. That's kind of the period I'm going through in my life. And so, and I haven't got also like friends, and I don't have the same interests as most people that I meet. So I don't drink anymore a lot. Sometimes I do, but I also when I'm with people most of the time, like after a few minutes of conversation, I'm like, I just don't want to talk with him anymore because it's so boring. Or that's kind of like the stuff that's happening for me. And so I also noticed that that is a limitation of my mind, because I'm actually scared to lead the conversation into what I want to talk about, which is entirely possible with every person that I meet. But I was just scared about it, and so for my mind, it was not even a possibility. So what I want to say is, there I felt like deep negative emotions of loneliness, because I felt I was different than everyone. And what was funny is, like, for months, because this appeared in my life maybe 1 year ago. Before that, I still had a lot of friends, and I was drinking, I was doing all the stuff that everyone does, basically. And my mind thought that it was normal to feel lonely if you're different, or if you feel different, or if you think you're different than everyone surrounding you, and if you're alone. And this is kind of a mindfuck, because it's not true at all. You can be alone, being completely different, being even despised by people, and still feel good. You can't do that. Most people don't believe that, but you can. There's no limits. And so what I did is, I just looked at the emotion of loneliness that I had in myself when it arose, and it felt terrible. It felt so sad. It was just so fucking hard. But I had repressed it for months and months and months. And what it did after, so I did this process for like maybe, I think, a couple of hours, if you put everything in a row, because it was hard to look at the emotion and not escape it. But I think after maybe just like a day of consistently looking at it as it arose, it was just gone. And like most of it, I'd say 80-90% of the emotion was gone. And then when I was alone, or when I was in a room with people, I didn't feel this loneliness anymore. I just felt it, like maybe just a little bit, but I wasn't sad at all anymore. So I had other stuff coming up, like fear or stuff like that, but not this kind of lonely feeling that I've been feeling for like really since a year, really on a regular basis, almost every day. And so I just want to share this, because it's a process that's so simple. What you do is you stop resisting the emotion and you look at it. And when you do that, like, resistance is basically feeding your energy to the emotion. And that's where it's really hard to understand this, because we humans just think in like upside down. We think that by resisting stuff or by desiring stuff, it's gonna come into our life. But that's not what happens. What happens is, when you resist stuff, or when you really when you really try to change things, then they don't. Things just change on their own when you stop insisting on it. And the reason why is, when you stop resisting, you stop giving your energy to a certain thing, to a thought or to an emotion, and then it can go. Because you're the only person which is responsible for the emotions that you feel, and for what just stays in your mind and in your body. And if you resist those, you are giving your energy to it, and that's why they stay there in the first place. And you think that resisting is going to change stuff, but it has never worked and never will. And that's why I'm just so excited to share this, because it's just so simple. I think there are many ways to deal with negative emotions, but this is the only one that has worked so effectively and quickly for me. And so the next time you feel a negative emotion, just put your thoughts away. Yes, you think it's because of stuff that happens outside of you. That's completely fine. It's all right. We all do. And you just like look at it, and you try to relax also. You just like relax, It's like as if you'd be able to spend your whole life with that emotion. It's like, fuck it. I'm just gonna stay with it. And then I'm doing it right now, by the way. You can do it in the midst of the day. You can just like do it whenever you think, and you remind yourself to do this. And you just stay there with your awareness on wherever this emotion is expressing itself physically. And you feel into it. And you don't try to change it. You don't try to escape it. You don't try to act in a certain way. You just do whatever you want to do, but you look at it at the same time. So you do two things during your day. You do what you normally do, and you look at the emotion. And you'll see that what happens is that the emotion just like soften a lot. Even if you don't do it right, even if you're not good at it, it's gonna work. And yeah, it's just like it's just my mind has been blown by this. I don't even know, like I feel really empowered because now I know that all the stuff that I actually fear, I'm gonna be able to deal with it without any further just like struggle. I just have to like look at it. What you can do also is just like write about it, look at your beliefs. Like, it's not like this is the only technique that you can use and that's effective, but it's very effective. So the book is Letting Go, The Path of Surrendering, or The Path to Surrender, Dr. David Hawkins. It's it's fucking awesome. So read it, please. If you have social anxiety, man, I wish I read that book like 3 years or 5 years or 10 years ago. It would have helped me so much. So this is probably the best book I've ever read. I'm a new man. Thanks for listening.